Hello, my name is Tosca Bruno van Vijveken and I work at the Transnational NGO Initiative here at the Maxwell School. Today I'm interviewing Ignacio Saiz, the Executive Director of the Center for Economic and Social Rights, which is based in Madrid, has an office as well in Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for allowing us to interview you today. In this interview I would ask you just a couple of questions from a career perspective. This can be very helpful to our students in particular. Would you please first explain what the Center for Economic and Social Rights does and the sector in which it works?
Sure. The Center for Economic and Social Rights is an international NGO that conducts research, advocacy and capacity building on issues of economic and social rights. We promote the recognition of these rights and the enforcement of these rights in practice through public policy.
I see. So, when students think about a career in a human rights organization like CESR, and we have to acknowledge that, for instance, your organization has about 10 staff members, right? So that's the scale at which you work, but you work with a very extensive global network of national economic and social rights NGOs. What does a typical day for you look like? What should students imagine?
It's difficult to identify what a typical day is, but to give you an idea, I guess the average day begins with taking stock of what's happening in the world and particularly what's of relevance to the mission of our organization. And it also inevitably involves sifting through very carefully and very judiciously the wealth of emails that usually accumulate in our inbox.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's like many other jobs. Actually, prioritization is extremely important, and so the first exercise of the day is usually one of reviewing your plans and seeing how, to what extent you can accommodate some urgent request that has come up in the course of the day. An average day will also include some kind of project team meeting. In other words, a meeting of some of the staff who are working on a particular project. Our work is all divided up, categorized by project. To see how we're doing in terms of progress, to discuss what decisions need to be taken in terms of setting new directions or accommodating to new developments on a particular project. The day may also involve meetings with external contacts. Which often, because our work is in partnership with organizations around the world, often means conference calls or Skype conference calls with organizations to, for example, to scout possibilities for future partnership, or else to monitor the progress of a particular project that's ongoing. These are some of the activities that take place in any given day. Yeah. Obviously, exceptionally, we have external events, speaker engagements.
A lot of international travel.
A lot of international travel, which may be for field work, field trips. For example, we did a very extensive project in Guatemala, which involved several longish stays in Guatemala to carry out that research. But much international travel is often, particularly for me, is often more representational or sometimes fundraising related as well. Yeah. Maybe also speaking at conferences, at academic conferences or gatherings of human rights advocates and activists. So difficult to say what a typical day is, but these are some of the activities that populate my agenda.
Now let's step back for a moment and just look at your career trajectory for a moment. I don't necessarily ask you to go in detail into the various steps, but I'm asking you, how would you analyze, when you take a step back, the kind of main skills you learned as you went along? And this will lead us also into your former career with Amnesty.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to distill some of the sort of lessons learned from my career path, which may not be applicable to others, but the importance, I would say, of at an early stage in my career of voluntary work or of pursuing my interests, even if there didn't seem to be a salary attached at the end of it, or any promise of professional work. I think that was fundamental in both stimulating my interest in human rights, building my experience, particularly my field experience in Central America, but also enabling me, positioning me well in the job market to take up a research position, as I did with another organisation and then with Amnesty. I think in terms of acquiring skills, I think I would never, you can't overestimate the importance of good writing skills. And I think honing those skills is exceptionally important in any sector, in any sphere. But because human rights advocacy depends so much on the power of the written word, I think it's all the more important for people, for prospective professionals in this field, to really hone their skills, because a piece of research or an advocacy briefing will be all the more compelling if it is presented in a very clear and concise way, and if the person is able to really use language in a way that is both sober and accurate, but at the same time passionate and compelling. So I think those skills, those writing skills, are very important. Probably most students in any academic sector are taught or hone their analytical skills. Skills of analysis are extremely important in the field of human rights, and it's a mistake to think that commitment is enough. Some people, when they apply, particularly more junior people, they apply for positions and they're oozing commitment, and they devote pages of an application form to tell you how committed they are. That's fine. I mean, if you weren't committed, you probably wouldn't be applying for this position. But we also want to see that you have the research and analytical skills, communication skills, and the professional background and experience that qualifies you for this work.
So finally, at a more concrete level, what kind of career advice would you like to give to Maxwell School students who wish to pursue a career in a human rights-focused NGO?
I think look out for any opportunities for practical experience, and that obviously that could be internships. But that could be less formal arrangements, for example, just agreeing to do a small piece of voluntary work for an NGO. We're often contacted, or indeed we sometimes contact students to do that kind of work. It could be even a short-term engagement, a short-term task. It's something that people can put on their CV. It's something that's also valued by the organizations, by organizations such as us, who have a very small staff team. So I would say look out for all opportunities for professional experience. I honestly feel, my personal take is that professional experience counts for more than years and years of academic experience at a very high level. I think their academic qualifications, of course, are important and definitely give people the edge in any application process, in any recruitment process, but professional experience is usually what is valued, and your ability to extract from that professional experience, to demonstrate from that professional experience that you have the skills and characteristics that are relevant to the particular job you are applying for. That's also very important in recruitment. Other career advice: follow your passions, stay interested in the world, keep an open mind, don't be a disciplinary fundamentalist, by which I mean, if you're interested in working in human rights, and particularly in the field of economic and social rights, be open to seeing things from a different disciplinary perspective. This work is inherently disciplinary in nature, and you need to be talking with people who don't look and sound like you.
And you need to know how to talk to people.
You need to know how to do that. But it's also a willingness to do that, and then an ability.
Well, thank you so much for this career interview.
You're welcome. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome.